Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I have another batch cooking video for you. I'm going to be preparing Paleo and AIP compliant meals using a few simple ingredients. I hope you can get a couple of ideas of meals you can prepare yourself. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Let's get started. Before I start batch cooking, I like to write down on a list everything I'm going to be making first and then going back in and writing in the individual ingredients. That way I can pull everything out that I need and hopefully not forget anything. I will have a list of the ingredients in the description box below. I have the food processor out, little flour that my baby gave me. It's just a weed, but it matters just as much. I have the mason jars out for the salads. Here's my list. Cutting boards all ready to go. And I'm gonna try something new today. I have the tray out for the veggies. Once I cut them, I'll sort them out on the tray because there's multiple cooked meals that I'm gonna be making today. So I want to kind of cut everything all at once. We'll see how that goes. Here's all my meat. Also have the beef cubes on the bottom. And I have the spices out as well with the olive oil. On the other side, I already started washing some of the vegetables. Have more here along with the compost bin. So all this will be peeled and still have some things to wash. Here's the onions. This is going to be the beef roast that I'm going to be making in the Instant Pot that I also have right here. Those are plantains in the background as well. We're going to be ripening them and making pastelón, which is ground beef with plantains. It's kind of a sweet and savory dish. I'm going to be making that next week. Here are all the pots ready to go. And I'm going to be using this for the shepherd's pie to put it in the oven for the finishing touch. Once the pots are hot, I'm putting in about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil in each. The ground beef and pork are going to be going in the skillet on the left, and on the right I'm putting in the beef cubes, which I'm going to be browning on all sides. While the meat is browning, I am chopping up the onions. One I'm chopping up roughly for the sancocho, and the other I'm mincing. Half for the ground beef and pork, and the other half I'm going to be setting aside for something else later. I'm also mincing 1 clove of garlic for the ground meat and 3 cloves of garlic for the sancocho. Next up are the spices. I'm putting in about 2 teaspoons of oregano and 2 teaspoons of cilantro. I'm letting everything simmer for a couple of minutes, covering with water and bringing it to a boil. Next up, I am peeling and chopping up the plantains. If you have kitchen gloves, I recommend using them for this process, as the peeling of the plantain can brown your hands a little bit. To peel the plantains, just scour along the edge of the plantain with a knife and cut off the edges. Just peel back the skin of the plantain using your thumb. The onions and garlic are now going into the ground meat, and I'm going to let them caramelize. The plantains are going into the Sancocho soup, and I'm also adding more water, just enough to cover them. The sweet potatoes for the shepherd's pie, I'm actually going to be boiling in the Instant Pot using 1.5 cups of water, and I'm setting it on manual for 14 minutes. Now I'm preparing the rest of the ingredients for the shepherd's pie. I'm mincing 3 cloves of garlic and cutting up 1 onion. I'm going to be saving half of it for the roast, and the other half I'm putting in for the shepherd's pie. I'm also cutting up carrots and the celery and setting that aside. I took the ground meat out and now I'm putting in the onions and the garlic. These sweet potatoes are done, so I'm taking those out of the Instant Pot and I'm going to be mashing them with a fork. At this point, the onions and the garlic have caramelized enough, so now I'm putting in the celery and the carrots. I'm adding a generous amount of rosemary and thyme and also pink Himalayan salt, which is finely ground, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to be giving everything a good stir and cooking it for about 10 minutes on low to medium heat, covered. The yuca is now done, so I'm taking it out of the pot and I'm setting it aside to cool. I also cut up a sweet potato that I'm putting into the sancocho. Next, I'm cutting up the carrots as well as the celery for the sancocho, and we'll be putting that in. Now that the yuca is cooled to the touch, I'm removing the hard core from the middle and I'm breaking it up into smaller pieces and putting it back into the pot. Now that the carrots and the mashed potatoes are done, I'm taking half the ground meat and layering them on top in a glass baking dish along with the mashed sweet potatoes I had done earlier. I will be putting this in the oven, which was preheated at 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Next up, I'm cutting the beef roast into 4 smaller pieces so they can fit into the Instant Pot, and I'm turning it on to the saute function and browning them on all sides. Once the beef has browned on all sides, I'm putting in the half of the onion that I had chopped earlier as well as a couple cloves of garlic, and I'm letting it saute for another couple of minutes. Then I'm adding a couple of bay leaves, rosemary, thyme, and pink Himalayan salt. The meat didn't all fit in the Instant Pot at the same time, so I had to take a couple of the pieces out. I am now adding everything back in, along with 2 cups of water, and I'm setting the time for 40 minutes. Next up is the sausage and peppers. So I cut up the sausages and I'm putting them into the hot pan with a splash of avocado oil. Once they're nicely brown on all sides, I'm adding the peppers and onions, and I'm letting everything cook on low for a few minutes with about 1 teaspoon of oregano and pink Himalayan salt. I'm occasionally giving everything a good stir to make sure all the ingredients are mixed in together. Back to the chopping block I go for the roast ingredients. So I'm cutting up a couple of carrots and 3 sweet potatoes that will be going in, as well as a couple of stalks of celery. The salads in the jar are up next. First, I'm cutting up the carrots for 2 of them, and I'm also cutting up some green pepper for the other 2. I'm also cutting up a few radishes, and I'm evenly distributing them through the jars. Once all the veggies are chopped and into the jars, I am now adding wild baby arugula, and as you can see, I'm trying to stuff as much as possible in there. If I do that, the whole Trader Joe's bag will fit in these 4 jars. Moving on to the artichoke dip, I removed the artichoke hearts from the cans and making sure to strain as much liquid as possible out of them. The artichoke hearts are now going into the blender with 4 cloves of garlic. You feel free to put less if you don't like the garlic taste that much. And I'm pulsing it to break down the hearts as well as the garlic. I'm then adding about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I'm turning up the speed on the food processor. I am now adding 1 teaspoon of the finely ground pink Himalayan salt, along with the juice of half a lemon and about a half a teaspoon of cumin powder. Feel free to add more olive oil if you feel like the mixture is not liquid enough. In the meantime, I'm also adding the carrots and celery to the Instant Pot for the roast, and I'm setting the timer on manual for 20 minutes. Once the roast is done, I'm going to scoop out the contents into a glass baking dish so I can thicken up the sauce. I'm going to be doing this using tapioca flour, as this is the only thing I currently have on hand. I'm just scooping in 2 tablespoons of it, and I'm constantly mixing it, making sure it blends in with the liquid and it doesn't burn on the bottom. Once the gravy reaches the consistency I want, I'm just going to take it out and pour it over the contents of the roast. All right, everything's done. Here are the mason jar salads. This is the sancocho. Here, this is my husband's lunches. That's the Dominican soup. I should also mention that the sancocho goes well with avocados, bananas, and white rice, if that's something you wanted to add. This is the beef roast with the sweet potatoes and carrots and celery. That's shepherd's pie back there. Sausage and peppers. And the artichoke hummus, and I also cut up some celery and cucumbers to snack on the hummus with. That'll do it for me this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video.